So the way we see businesses running today is that large part of their intelligence today lies in their capability to do analytics. And one of the things which we are seeing, which is ever growing, and IDC predicts that this will be probably the largest segment of IT spendings in next few years, is around analytics. One of the things which we are driving as a major hardware and architecture provider is the fact that newer and newer platforms which we are launching in the last 2 years and possibly in the next few years going forward would give users and IT users, administrators and businessmen a huge capacity and capability to analyze data which is structured, non-structured, in a way that they derive great business insights out of that, which makes them more compatible, which makes them more profitable, and they're able to analyze huge data sets which are basically dealing to velocity, volume, and variety. In the continuation of this, what we have launched, which we announced in first week of May, is a new generation multi-socket server platform based on Intel Xeon E7v3, as we call it, which is now available with all leading OEMs, which gives us tremendous capability and capacity both for analytics workload, transactive workloads which are around databases, in-memory databases like SAP HANA, and even on clustered analytics workloads like Cloudera Hadoop. The platforms which are based on latest generation Intel Xeon E5v3 can run almost 6 times faster when it comes to analyzing transactive in-memory workloads. And when I say that, I essentially mean that if somebody is running SAP HANA in-memory databases, they can actually analyze those data sets 6 times more faster compared to the recently available 4-socket platforms or servers which they were having. Having said that, people who are into who are not into in-memory databases but actually are into more TPM, which is more transactive workloads, or I would say transactive databases, can immediately see 40% out of the box improvement in terms of performance, which means that they are able to analyze more, or they are able to transact more when it comes to transactive databases or workloads, which includes nominal, or I would say famous databases like Oracle 11g or so. On the one side of the world we have in-memory databases, and on the other side of the world we have databases which are out of memory residing into disk, the, I would say traditional transactive workloads. The third category which we are seeing is the analytics. Now if somebody is doing in-memory analytics, which is a typical case of either a business company or a medical firm or even an oil and energy gas company, which are able to analyze the data streams, structured or unstructured, which are sent by either humans or by machines, if they have to analyze that quickly and have to take an intelligent decision based on that, they're able to do it 70% faster as compared to the existing high-end database platforms which they have. And what we see this as, large part of these accelerations are coming from the fact that the new generation E7v3 based server platforms not only have the capability to hold 6 terabytes of RAM, which means that almost the entire database can reside in the RAM, and hence the capacity to analyze that, transact that, or take intelligent decisions based on that is almost more than 10 times to close to 30 times faster. Now this gives a tremendous insight into anybody who's doing real-time decision making or smart decision making based on real-time analytics. So gone are the days when people used to think that I can analyze a week worth of data and probably take another 1 more day to analyze and predict. I think most of the transactions which we do today on the net are analyzed in real time, which means when we go to the net to do a shopping, the guy who is actually offering us the e-commerce web store is analyzing our shopping pattern, the products which we like, the typical browsing which we do, how many times did we visit in a week and what did we search for, and what was my most bought item. And based on that, on my next visit, they are able to quickly apply these algorithms faster in real time and give me offers which are more suited to me as a buyer for my taste. Now, these are certain things which people do care about today, both to become more competitive as well as to offer better services or more suitable services to their customers. Talking about analytics, today we are seeing broadly two types of analytics. One wherein people are looking at scale-up models, wherein large part of the data, structured or unstructured, which they want to analyze, resides in the main memory on the server itself rather than residing on the disk. And second, we are seeing is a scale-out analytics, wherein typically you have data sets residing on a huge cluster of servers, and the insights are gathered by softwares or applications like Hadoop. And one of the partners in this journey for Hadoop for us is Cloudera, wherein we are seeing out-of-the-box improvements when Cloudera runs on an Intel-based Hadoop cluster versus anybody else's application running on a Hadoop cluster. We are seeing almost 30 times more faster insights or analytics on a cluster, which is a scale-out model of analytics. At the same time, these new generation E7 V3 based platforms are now giving us the ability that even if we are not running in a scale-out mode, but which are actually a scale-up mode, wherein the analytical software or application or the database or products like SAP HANA are running inside on the same box, we can keep the entire dataset in the RAM and can analyze it much faster in the matter of seconds rather than in a matter of minutes or days. Now, which means that on one side we have our traditional two-socket Xeon platforms, which are based on E5 V3, which are more suitable for scale-out analytics. We have on the other side the scale-up analytics, which has become more and more suitable with E7 V3 4-socket and 8-socket platforms, because the ability to hold more and more data in the real-time RAM itself is much higher to the extent of 6 terabytes or 12 terabytes in a single SMP system. Now, one of the new instruction sets which we have added with Xeon E7 V3 is called as TSX-NI, which is Transaction Synchronization Extensions. And anybody who's running a type of a job which involves transactive database within the main RAM, and example of such databases could be like Oracle times 10, or it could be SAP HANA, wherein your actual database resides in the RAM itself rather than residing on the physical disk. We are seeing, as I said, out of the box 6 times more performance improvement. And TSX-NI essentially is a new instruction set which helps and whose power or performance increases more as we increase the capacity of the RAM, as we increase the number of cores and the threads. And what it gives is a unique ability that all the parallel threads, which are essentially locking down to the same cache, can work in a manner that they can access the same cache at the same time. What it means is that if a specific workload was bound to a specific thread, it does not need to wait till such time the other application has released the cache module. So it is giving us, in a manner, it is like one large piece of bread which is being eaten by 10 hungry people at the same time, so you will finish the job much faster. So what we are seeing is with TSX-NI for transactive in-memory workloads, we are seeing 6 times more performance improvement with databases like Oracle times 10 and SAP HANA. Now, where do we stand with respect to other advantages of such a high-value platform? On the performance side, with almost all leading vendors in the last 1 week, we have announced almost like 20 world records. These 20 world records span across general computing throughput to a high performance computing throughput to analytics throughput to a database throughput, to a ERP. So you name it, whether it is SAP supply and distribution ERP, whether it is SAP HANA in memory analytics and DB, whether it is Oracle, or we have HP running their decision support and analytics systems. Across the platform, a huge number of benchmarks, what we have seen, and versus previous generation, which is present shipping generation, on an average, across the spectrum, ranging from improvements which are typically 40% to go up to 6 times more improvement, depending on the workloads which we are running, is what we are seeing. Now, this gives traditionally both the enterprise as well as high performance community a great benefit. When I talk about high performance community, a single node, which is a 4-socket node of Xeon E7 V3, can give you an access of 2 teraflops. So there used to be a time when, for setting up 1 teraflop of a HPC facility, we used to use a couple of nodes, to the extent that 10 years back it used to be half a room full of servers to give 1 teraflop. Today you can do it in 1 node. It's a big achievement for the high performance community, which models weather, which models crash simulations, which models genome, which sequences, which models DNA sequences. So benefits are tremendous. All I'm trying to say is whichever domain of high performance computing one is, whether these are in high performance for weather modeling, for compute modeling, for design of systems, for design of cars and machines, or to something like a genome sequencing, or you're designing a molecular synthesis for making medicine more accurate to match your DNA sequence, we can do it much faster than what we were doing till last year. And these workloads are essentially the closer to the heart and needs of people who are in those industries, so they will appreciate that better. The other thing which we can do is look at this very strong server platform to increase the operational excellence in a data center. What I mean to say that is, anybody who is refreshing a typical high-end server takes 5 to 7 years. And what we are seeing is, if we are looking at a typical 5-year-old platform, a server platform which was running a database, we are seeing almost 12 times more performance improvement. What it means is that if our workload characteristics have not changed, if the SLA to the user base is still the same, people can look at consolidating 12 servers, high-end, 4-socket or above, into one box. Now, this is a huge advantage with respect to whether it is cost saving from software, cost saving from infrastructure, expenses like cooling, power, rack space, whether it is cost saving from operating system licenses, whether it is cost saving from any other thing which relates to database management. We are going from 12 to 1. So it's a big saving from an operational excellence standpoint, where we are able to give the same results with much lesser footprint of a data center. Or the other way around, corollary to this is that somebody can actually go from 10 servers in a database or in a data center to the same number of 10 servers of new generation, and can gain 12 times more performance improvement as you go from one-on-one improvement from going from 5-year-old server to the new generation servers. To that extent, that what we are seeing is traditional workloads which used to run best on RISC category of systems, or mainframe category of systems on Unix, those are the systems which these systems are now replacing very fast. So our E7 Xeon V3 on a typical performance per dollar, which is the value given to a user back for the amount spent, is almost 10 times higher than any nearest RISC-based systems like IBM Power 8 on the same number of sockets. At the same time, our total cost of ownership, which includes the acquisition cost, the maintenance cost, the license cost over the next period of 5 years, is almost like 85% down as compared to these options. So somebody who's getting 10x more performance per rupee or per dollar for the spend, and getting 85% more total cost of ownership advantage, is definitely, this becomes a very, very strong value proposition for him to look at. And we are seeing many of our large customers who are migrating from traditional risk to Xeon based systems, 4-socket or 2-socket or so, both for their application layer, for their database layer, for their transactive workload, even for their mission critical workloads. And speaking of mission critical workloads, it requires a very high amount of redundancy, reliability, availability, or serviceability, as you call it, as RAS. I'm pleased to say that these new generation systems based on E7 V3 Xeon are capable of offering 99.999, which is 5 nines of availability based on a very high-end RAS features, which includes almost like 30 new RAS features which we have added to these server platforms to make it a very strong, compelling proposition for anybody to run their mission critical ERP, mission critical supply chain, mission critical databases. And when I say 5 nines of availability, it means roughly around close to 5 minutes of downtime, just 5 minutes of downtime in a year. It could be a planned downtime because of a servicing, or it could be a non-planned downtime. So overall, the value proposition of these server platforms is very, very strong in the industry. We are seeing large part of our customers who were into analytics moving into this side of the world, those who are into running mission critical databases and supply chain ERPs moving into this side of the world, those who are into very strong and high-end HPC and they need fat nodes, wherein each node is capable of doing more than 2 teraflops. This becomes a very strong value proposition, and at a fraction of a cost of traditional mainframe and risk-based alternatives. So overall, what we are seeing is these new generation platforms are capable of basically accelerating the real-time analytics. They are giving a very high uptime and reliability, definitely better total cost of ownership versus any mainframe or risk alternatives. Great in terms of operational excellence, because we can get much more out of a data center in a much smaller footprint, and definitely overall the value proposition with respect to running a very intelligent backend platforms which are strong for in-memory analytics and to make the businesses more faster, because they can do it all of it. They can compute and analyze all of it inside the main memory itself, is what is this very strong value proposition. So we look forward to all our OEMs offering Intel Xeon E7 V3 based 4-socket and 8-socket options, as we announced within this week itself. We expect all the traditional biggies like HP, Dell, Cisco, Fujitsu to join this launch platform very soon with us. And we look forward to our users, both high-end users as well as mainstream users, adopting these E7 V3 4-socket and 8-socket platform, both for their high-end mission critical and analytical needs. Thanks.